For Front Page Politics, David Weigel, political reporter for Slate, and Shira Toeplitz, political reporter for Roll Call. Good Sunday to both of you. David, I'll start with you. I was reading your latest piece, and you wrote about the interesting way that Paul Ryan, who voted for TARP, this is intimate. This goes back to what Axelrod said this morning on Meet the Press, how Ryan voted for the auto bailout and then Medicare Part D, and then he became the Republican base's star budget hawk. And so, as we go forward, what's your thought here? Will conservative voters give him a pass on that?
Oh, they're already giving him a pass. They had demanded somebody like Ryan on the ticket, Ryan specifically, a lot of them. I think you're seeing by who's showing up to these events that they're enraptured by him. And the reason he gets a pass for some of the votes that other people have lost their careers over, I mean, Bob Bennett voted for TARP and he was primaried, is just because he was always using it while trying to pass some new radical reform. In 2005, he was a point man on Social Security reform. In 2010, when he didn't need to, he drew the roadmap. So you could excuse his apostasy on these issues because he was so good at explaining the need for cuts and the need for, I'm not trying to use it in a pejorative sense, but radical reform. Yeah, big, giant reforms.
A balance, taking the good with the bad. Shira, you also wrote that House Democrats are elated by Paul Ryan's choice here. How does his pick reinforce the arguments they've been making against Romney being the former Bain CEO, that he's out of touch, and along that thought process?
Well, it actually reinforces the argument that House Democrats have been using against their Republican opponents all cycle, which is that Republicans, as part of this Ryan budget, voted for cuts in Medicaid. And it's proven effective in some cases, particularly special elections, but it's yet to be seen if it's going to be effective on a larger level this November. I did talk to Steve Israel, the House Democrats campaign arm, yesterday, and he was very excited about the Ryan pick. He went as far as to say that he's ready to name Mitt Romney to their internal majority makers program, which is kind of a pun and a way of saying he thinks this will help Democrats win back the majority. And I think that's going a little too far.
Really, has the Obama campaign been readying themselves for this very choice, given that there's been this antithesis back and forth with Ryan and Congress led by the GOP throughout the recent months?
Yeah, I think the Obama campaign in Chicago is pretty happy about it. They certainly seemed so yesterday morning with some of the statements they put out. But it is because of these proposals that Ryan has put in writing. It gives Democrats basically a dossier. It gives them something to look through line by line and attack him by.
David, to you on this. Is there a danger here as we look more into Paul Ryan? He went on stage yesterday, bounding onto the stage, so much energy. Is there a concern at all, perhaps, that he might outshine Romney?
You know, when you ask that question, I think of how we're starting to use the word bold to describe the Romney campaign, which is not a word we've used. I think he's kept commenting that Romney's campaign in a way they're happy with. Now, they have changed the focus of the election from just talking about Barack Obama all the time, but they're kind of letting the vice presidential nominee be the message of the campaign. I mean, I'm up here in New England where there are a few close races going on, and Republicans are talking up. In Massachusetts, a Republican I talked to was talking up Ryan before he talked up Romney. They have no problem, in the way that for a while Republicans had no problem talking up Sarah Palin over John McCain. I mean, I remember they raised $7 million in a few days from that pick, and there was a period of time when she was an incredibly popular figure. They think, without comparing them in any other way, that they've got the same thing here with Ryan.
Well, David, how would you characterize the choice of Ryan here compared to previous choices at this point in their respective campaigns? Would you say this is similar to Sarah Palin? Would you say that they were looking for, and we've been using this word frequently over the last 2 days, a game change, and therefore perhaps that shows that there was some weakness here?
No, it's different because what Palin added to the McCain ticket was just a possible appeal, almost a soap opera appeal to a lot of Americans who would find her compelling, and then a reassurance to conservatives. Whereas the Ryan choice was almost made for Romney in the last 2 years. I mean, Ryan's economic agenda had been the economic agenda of the entire Republican Party. 4 Republicans voted against it in the House. Almost no Republicans voted against it in the Senate. And it just, if you listen to the way conservatives, elite conservatives and the base talked, it would have been an affront to them if they didn't accept that Romney was defining what they stood for.
Shira, let's talk about swing states and swing voters in those states, and we'll show our viewers this map right here. The key swing states of Iowa, Pennsylvania, and Florida. have large populations of over the age of 65. Here we go, 14.9% in Iowa, 15.4% in Pennsylvania, over 17% in Florida. Is Mitt Romney risking the loss of those states with Paul Ryan on the ticket because of his budget plan and the push for the reduction of funding to Medicare here?
There's no question that Florida is going to be a problem for Romney now, given Ryan's budget and the number of seniors in that state. And I think that's what makes the Ryan pick so interesting, is because in many ways he could be we'll see how the next couple months play out, but he could be sacrificing Florida to instead shift the battleground map to the Midwest to try and play in states like Wisconsin, Ohio, Iowa, which has a lot of seniors but is also a battleground state. And I wonder if that's what Romney has effectively done with this pitch. In many ways, seeding Florida because of the large number of Hispanics there, which he wasn't testing well with yet either. Yeah,
good point. Dave, last word to you. Do you think he's sort of saying, Florida, we'll put that aside for now. Let's focus on what Shira was talking about, those Midwestern swing states?
Well, they're going to head to Florida at the end of the month, and I think they're going to make the argument they made in 2010, which is that by voting for the Affordable Care Act, it was Democrats who wanted to destroy Medicare. They're going to try to muddy the waters on that and take the issue away, because it did work in 2010. That was their message. There was money taken out of Medicare to reform the health care system. It was money taken out of your possible health future. They're just going to repeat that and see if they can cancel out the attacks.
Dave Weigel, Shira Toeplitz, thank you so much